Today we have in the studio, live from Sioux Falls, South Dakota, my dear friend, my colleague for many years, Matt Jensen. Matt is the CEO of Vance Thompson Vision, as well as the managing partner of Matt Jensen Marketing. He serves multiple roles with multiple hats. Matt, so great to see you today.
You too, buddy. And you forgot to mention that you're one of my earliest and best mentors.
Well, thank you. That is kind. That's kind to hear. It is great to see you. And in this conversation, we're just going to talk because we've been through a lot of battles together, many years journey. And I come to you today. You are in week 5 of this global pandemic. You have not only the location in Sioux Falls, but you're in 5 other states, if I'm correct, with about 200 employees system-wide. So give us just a little insight about what your life's been like the last 5 weeks.
Well, this is the Super Bowl of leadership. This is when all the real stuff comes out. So, 200 families depending on you. This is when and no revenue coming in. This is the stuff that tests your mettle. We've been working hard on just getting ahead of the game, understanding what's coming for federal and state support, all the things that a lot of people have already presented on your shows and others. But ultimately, we've had a major priority of communicating with the team and giving them some confidence, reducing their stress and anxiety, knowing that we want to land this plane with as many of them on it as possible. I think that's really the role of leadership right now, is to figure out how you can just reduce anxiety. Everybody's got a certain amount of stress because of the unknown, but how are you going to create the confidence that the team needs to be able to live from here to there? So it's been a challenge, but it's also been something where to see some of our leaders and how they've stepped up, to see the sacrifices they've made, it just makes you want to give all that more, all the more too. So, it's the good stuff.
Oh, it's amazing to hear that. And in fact, I had interviewed your boss. I had interviewed Vance Thompson the other day, and he was talking about what was going on with the employees. And it really reminded me in some ways of the parallel to the work we've been doing over the years to reduce fear in patients. So more patients will be willing to consider elective procedures. And what's happened with the COVID crisis, it's quite clear, is that fear has transmitted, if you will, to the staff, to the team. And yes, it sounds from what you're saying that you are taking very proactive steps to keep everyone informed, to keep that anxiety at bay.
It's interesting, Sharif. We've written about it, and we've talked about it a lot. We've always had a, culture eats strategy for breakfast mentality. I don't know if Vance mentioned it to you, but we've really been pushing up against that. Because we think that that's true. We've always been differentiated by our team culture. We say that we're team first and then patient first, but only because we're team first. Well, listen, this is wartime mentality, wartime leadership, and the willingness to recommend of our team when they're in the front trenches. It doesn't feel like it's that important right now. It's, when bullets are flying over your head, that they're giving us this is a great place to work. Like, that doesn't matter. We're trying to stay alive. And so we've kind of transcended the culture eat strategy for breakfast, which is in our guts. And we've moved to, strategy needs culture for life. Reverse that. Culture needs strategy for life.
That's okay.
The
camera's rolling. We're just one take here.
That's okay. But because culture, just to get, the team happy, that's too skin deep. It needs to be strategic, and strategic means daily communication and benefits that aren't trite, and a real concern for not just the team members' work, but how that works with their family. For the first time, we've got 15 builders and coders who are working from home. And they're doing a great job, but they're doing it with their 3-year-old climbing all over them. Trying to do a Zoom meeting. And there's blurred lines between work and home and the responsibilities. And it's stressful. And so culture without strategy, it's death. So we need to define culture better, and then it needs to be strategic in nature.
And what you're really saying to me is it's strategy and culture. It's not either or, it's both and.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We know about that principle. Any story, any highlight from your interactions among your 200 strong team that you just want to share, to something that exemplifies what's been going on?
Well, yeah, twice a week we're having town halls and they're live. So we're getting everybody on a Zoom call. It looks like, a huge sea of we can't get everybody on video because of people's bandwidth, but it's all the black phones and people are weighing in, and we're giving a little bit of information, and then we're opening the forum, and that feels like the huddles that we've always done, and so to do that a couple of times a week, I think has been a real tether for our team, that nobody floats too far away from home,
right?
At the time. So that's felt really good. The one-on-ones have been really important for our teams. And then, buddy, I'm telling you, and we learned this from you, but there's nothing more powerful than the handwritten note, especially right now.
Yeah.
All these past kind of quips that we've learned together become really important at times like this. But the currency, the unit of currency in experiences, which we studied, is time. And so to write a handwritten note when you could have just dictated something, team members recognize, my family recognizes, he had to sit down. He had to kind of take 2 minutes. He had to write it. He had to put a stamp on it. He had to put it in the mail. And it's more meaningful now in times like this than it would have been 6 weeks ago.
Yeah. And whether it's the handwritten note or the face-to-face conversation, as I know many doctors are doing with these virtual consultations, or just the whole telehealth in general, it's incredible. It is doing things that we could not have predicted to improve and enhance the doctor-patient relationship.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. But like all times, communication is king. It's just going to be reinvented again.
Yeah, and that's never going to change. That's never going to change. It's interesting. I heard some data the other day that in China, which is a little ahead of us in terms of coming back, since they were the first to have this virus, that they are seeing a resurgence in LASIK faster than a resurgence in cataract surgery. I've got some ideas why. How does that strike you?
It's interesting you say that, because I think that when people have just a moment, which this has afforded us. I mean, just as an aside, no other time in my lifetime, and probably never again, will we be given the opportunity that we have right now to just pause and say, okay, am I who I want to be? Am I doing the things I want to be doing? How am I doing in my craft? Do I want to come back stronger? Am I looking for a new craft? And people are noticing more just through their regular senses because of the pace of life. And I believe that people are taking things for granted far less than they used to. We've been toying around with a lot of social media things. Our doctors have been doing, LASIK lunches or coffee and cataracts talks, where our doctors just get online and they just start fielding questions from people at home. And it's super fun because they ask wacky questions, or some of them ask serious questions. But from markets nowhere near South Dakota, which is most markets, it turns out. People have raised their hands, friends of mine from 20 years ago, saying, hey, I had LASIK 18 years ago and I could use a fine tune. And people are responsive from far more away because of they're thinking about their vision right now. Mm-hmm. And so I'm just surprised that vision would be at the top of their list right now. One raised their hand from Wyoming, one from Arizona, who, when this is all done, are wondering if they should travel all the way to South Dakota. And we list all the good doctors between here and there, that they could also go see. But I just use that as an example to say that just because we're in this strange downtime doesn't mean that people don't have a high amount of interest in experiencing life more fully.
Yes. Well, Pep Talk episode published the other day was titled Nobody's Buying, but Everybody's Researching. And it's absolutely true. The data would support that from the Refractive Surgery Council. It's the pause we're in now. And, and I speculate that people are coming to this realization in the pause that life is short, and they want to do things that they know are going to benefit them in life that they either have been putting off or have never considered. And, being able to see without glasses is one of those things. We saw a post earlier today where Greg Parkhurst down in Texas did surgery on a frontline nurse because she couldn't afford to deal with the contact lenses and she needed to have a better solution. So who knows where this is all going to go, but that would speak to that younger population having LASIK And maybe the older population is still a little fearful of going out. Maybe that's why cataract in China hasn't come back as quickly. It's just all speculation, and we'll learn more as we get a little more time through this. Tell me about Sioux Falls. What's going on in the community besides, I do see some cars driving behind you, so that means people are out and about. What's going on?
Oh, well, the other 12 people from Sioux Falls are out and about today. No, we, it's interesting because we're in the Midwest, we thought we would be more of an echo of the pandemic than we've had because of the close proximity of some of our industries, especially our meatpacking industry here. We've turned into one of the hot spots in the world right now, which is, both, it's frightening to some extent, but it's also, it's fun, not fun. It's impressive to see the medical community step up to the challenge. There's some great health systems here. There's a bunch of great clinics and different ERs that are running at speed to keep up with it. And, again, the silver lining in all these things is this is affording a lot of people the introspection that I mentioned. And it's the spirit of humanity that comes out of this when people feel the need to rise above the regular day-to-day and perform at the level of their calling. It can lift a lot of spirits.
Amen to that. The book is coming out. You've got an early copy of it. My goodness, when we look at the cover, we see whose name is on the cover.
That guy.
That guy, Vance Thompson. And, I would tell you the book probably wouldn't have happened without our early work together, both at Vance Thompson Vision and then working with the authors of The Experience Economy and going through that training together with the other practices that participated. But any initial comments? Have you had a chance to even look at the book? You did so.
No, I have. And because of the time that we're in right now, I've been able to work through it, and I'm proud of it. I'm proud of it because I feel like it's got a big chunk of my heart in it because of how it talks about some of the standards that you've implored us to dig deeper on and that we've executed on here. And I think that it's an important backdrop for all of healthcare, but I also think it's a good expose for all of business. Listen, we can all do a lot better in our work if we just do the operational parts better.
Yeah.
Okay. Run into the phone, greeting people like they're walking into our own house or kitchen, not waiting room, right? But our home. We would never leave somebody at the door for 20 minutes, or sit them down at the where they put their coat and tell them that we'll be back with them in a half an hour. You don't do those things, and that's what's missing in bedside manner today. And it's why people it's why the medical industry has become the laughing stock of the service economy, because we have just forgotten the customer. So I feel like this, it's more impactful than ever, Sharif, because the most humane thing to do right now is to treat people with respect and dignity when they are the most vulnerable. And 21% of all of GDP is spent in healthcare today, the most vulnerable people. And people who read your book will make life better for 21% of every dollar.
Well, and you think about it, my belief is that every patient deserves a better experience, whether they're paying for a high-end elective procedure or not.
That's right.
It is across medicine. It is why we need to go beyond bedside manner, because bedside manner was the original customer survey, wasn't it?
Yeah,
The doctor and nurse either had good manner or bad bedside manner. So, now we've taken that and we've put some framing around it and a lot of ideas. And I thank you for really all the contributions you've made. And I look right behind you in the background and I see that you have in fact eliminated the waiting room. That is your reception area. You're on the second floor and you have the ability as the leader of the practice to look and see what's happening real time at any moment.
It's you're in trouble here if you call it a waiting room. It's the atrium.
Beautiful.
Right? Where people go to just be. It has a high aesthetic value with a capital E.
Yes, just hang out.
Yeah, great coffee and great place to chill.
And we'll talk more in a future episode about some of the specific things that you've been doing operationally.
Yeah, I'd like that.
I want to give you the last word. This is called Pep Talk, and it's an opportunity for each guest to just say something of inspiration and optimism to the viewers out there that are not only eye surgeons, but working across all specialties and the teams working with those doctors.
Well, I appreciate you giving me that opportunity, Sharif. Listen, here's the thing with leadership in times of trial. Your values, when untested, if you don't adhere to them, then they're not your real values. The things that you say you believe in, if when pushed into the fire, you no longer believe, then they're not your beliefs. So the things that we say we're going to be when we grow up or when we wake up in the morning, that's what's being tested right now. And what we've told our team, and any vendor or community member who has any interaction with us, is there's no technician in our organization that shouldn't come out the other end of this as a certified ophthalmic assistant. And there's no COA who shouldn't come out of this as COT. And COT, a COMT, and so on and so forth. And my daughter, who's always loved stringed instruments and has a beautiful voice, who's always wanted to learn the guitar, 6 weeks from now, she should be able to play the guitar. We have the ability right now, like no other time, to put our effort where our spirit has always been. And the challenge is, are you going to do that? Do you really want to be that? Because it's going to take a ton of work. But we can all come out of this better than we were before. And I just think that we owe each other that, especially in healthcare.
Matt Jensen, thank you. And viewers, thank you for watching. We look forward to seeing you next time. Until that time, I'm Sharif Madavi. Stay safe, wash your hands, love your pets.